got to fight this guy. Oh, you got injured in camp. You lose to that guy too. Now you're set back when you could have been a champion.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of like weirdness going on with possibilities and, you know, just luck, bad luck, and good luck.
Bad luck and good luck. Timing, I think, is a big thing.
Something like this allowed to happen. How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's completely unfair. It is completely just, I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled.
And then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you. That is called one thing. That's called being a...
Joe, Rogan openly criticized Jake Paul for attempting to fight Gervonta Tank Davis despite the massive size difference between them. Rogan emphasized that weight classes exist for a reason, to keep fighters safe and maintain fairness in the sport. He argued that by ignoring these divisions, Jake is putting both himself and his opponent at unnecessary risk. According to Rogan, Jake seems more interested in promoting a spectacle than respecting the integrity of boxing. The main concern is that Jake's significant size and power advantage could make the fight dangerous and completely unnecessary.
But no time limit within the weight class.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
That would be pretty that would be pretty wild.
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy.
Because you know, like two guys are facing off each other, like, and they know, like, there's no rescue every 5 minutes.
Yeah. And you go into it knowing you're either getting knocked down or submitted, or you're doing that to the other person.
Michael Bisping has voiced serious concerns over Jake Paul's decision to fight Gervonta Tank Davis despite the extreme weight difference between them. He highlighted that Jake is preparing to face an opponent who weighs nearly 100 pounds less, which completely disrupts the natural balance of boxing. Bisping reminded fans that even Jake's proposed bout with Mike Tyson was controversial given Tyson's age and retirement status. Now, this potential matchup with Tank Davis adds even more skepticism, as it seems less about fair competition and more about Jake seeking a personal advantage. According to Bisping, boxing is built on fairness and evenly matched contests, yet this fight appears so one-sided that it feels more like an attempt to gain publicity and power rather than a genuine sporting challenge, all while putting Tank's safety at risk.
That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real. You have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real. Not going up against someone that is so small. If you were to go up to this guy in a bar and try and start a fight with them, people would look at you and say one word: whoa, 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 stop being such a bully. Leave him alone. You are way bigger than this guy. And that's clearly what we have here. It is ridiculous. When you look at the tail of the tape, Gervonta Tank Davis, granted, a very, very skilled boxer, a world champion. He's had some great wins. He's had a tremendous career. He's got 28 knockouts on his record. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape here. 30 years old, Jake Paul, 28. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" tall, whereas Jake Paul is 6'1". I would never dream on picking on a guy that is 5'5" tall. Granted, there's some tough guys out there that are 5'5", okay? They're smaller guys, you know, but for 5'5", they'll pack a good punch. Typically, they're mixed martial artists or boxers.
Teddy Atlas reacted to the face-off between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis, pointing out the massive size difference between the two fighters. He joked that Tank is so small compared to Jake that he'd practically need a ladder just to reach Jake's chin. Atlas acknowledged that differences in skill and fighting style are a natural part of boxing, but he emphasized that in this case, the size gap is far too extreme. According to him, Tank's smaller frame makes it nearly impossible for him to reach Jake effectively, making the entire matchup seem uneven and unrealistic from the very start.
They should also have, like, the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff, particulars should be in the contract, but I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank: a ladder. A ladder? Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, all kidding aside, if he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance. You know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. The size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but a little different. The size difference was, it was eye-catching, jaw-dropping, and it made me think. And I'm gonna ask Richie, our man here who's doing all the taping, who does such a marvelous job. I'm gonna ask him because I know he's an expert in this area. But it reminded me of one of the Rocky movies where they had the face, where they did the wrestling thing with Rocky and Hulk Hogan, a.k.a. Thunder Lips.
Joe Rogan remarked that Jake Paul's recent actions seem to be driven more by promotion than by genuine competition. He explained that these kinds of fights are carefully designed to attract casual fans and spark curiosity through unusual matchups. According to Rogan, the buzz surrounding betting and publicity for these events has little to do with true sporting merit and everything to do with creating headlines. He believes Jake understands exactly how to keep his name trending, using boxing as a marketing tool rather than a platform for meaningful competition.
That makes it a problem. My opinion is, I just want to say, in case someone calls me into court, I'm a fucking idiot and I don't know nothing. And don't take my advice.
I love the Saudis.
Don't take my opinion.
I love the Israeli government. I love everybody.
That had nothing to do with them. That was Jake Paul promoting it. It's just doesn't bother me.
There's compromising the sport, and that's like bad. It's just like
if I bet on it,
watching
it
it
bothers
is
the fuck out
hard.
of me.
Watching it with people who are so in on it, and then also man, the sports betting apps, they introduced chat apps in them in Australia, so it's they're trying to take the place of social media companies where you go together and you meet your friends. Betting should be exciting enough without having a weird.
They're just trying to draw you in.
Thing.
They're just trying to make money, right? So they're trying to draw you in anyway.
Leonard Ellerby explained that Gervonta "Tank" Davis wasn't in the right mental space to face Lamont Roach at the time. He shared that Tank had been dealing with several personal challenges and didn't want to add more stress by taking on another major fight. According to Ellerby, this lack of motivation was the main reason the matchup never materialized, despite fan expectations. He suggested that Tank was prioritizing his personal well-being over competition, and that stepping away from the Roach fight was a way to protect his peace and avoid unnecessary pressure.
Again, there's nothing wrong with Tank going to get his money, but let's all be clear that that's all the fight is for Tank. He's telling you without telling you that he's fighting Jake just because he's getting $40 million. So when we talk about boxing being dead, Tank has to line up at the front of the line. I can't blame him, but don't throw around, boxing's dead and people switch sides and all of that. You chose not to be great. That's it. You chose not to be great. Stuff like that, choices like that will kill boxing. For sure. On a competitive level, it won't kill it on a business level. On a business level, until people run out of interest in these kind of matchups, it'll do well. On a competitive level, choosing not to fight the best will kill the sport. So maybe it's better if people like Tank aren't in the sport. And I don't even say that because I want that to be the case. I think Tank is ridiculously talented, but you can't want a fighter to fight more than what they want to. You can't. Tank fans or people that like Tank and think he's one of the best, you can't want it for him. And then Shakur came back with, "That's how I know you soft. I can't even go back and forth with you soft ass. You rather pop to me on social media than get in that fire and get embarrassed. I get it. Peace and blessings upon you, cuz." He says, "The people got you chest out so bad. You talking like you a killer, forgetting that you the one that runs, bitch. I'll be bring the fight to you. This dude, a made-up character. Quote, blessings upon you. Clown-ass dude, wanna be Kevin Gates." Oh my goodness. I mean, here's the thing though. You can't say that stuff about Shakur if you're not willing to fight him. This is the point I think that we're going to come to today, is that Tank can say all this stuff he wants, but if you're not willing to fight Shakur, then none of it means anything anymore. Even if you believe that Tank is going to knock him out, even if you believe that Shakur's a runner, or that he's not in the trenches, or he's not a boxer that's willing to bring the fight, or whatever, none of it matters. You're talking from the sideline because you won't.
Reports suggest that Gervonta Tank Davis, is considering retirement after his upcoming fight with Jake Paul. According to insiders, this decision is motivated less by a desire to cement his legacy or chase additional titles, and more by the opportunity to secure long-term financial stability. Observers believe that Tank's decision to accept this fight has more to do with the guaranteed payday than with competitive ambition or career advancement. Analysts note that Tank has faced significant personal and professional pressures in recent years, which may have influenced his choice to take on such a high-profile but unconventional matchup. From this perspective, the fight with Jake Paul appears to be a strategic business move, one aimed at maximizing earnings and ensuring financial security before stepping away from the sport.
Jake Paul. Yesterday they had their first press conference. One of the most recognizable things is Jake Paul is huge compared to Gervonta Davis. And two, Gervonta Davis don't even know what weight they fight, D.
Maximum weight of 195 pounds for this exhibition. The fight will be contested over 10 3-minute rounds.
I said it was 190.
The fight is 195 pounds, Tank, as you know.
DC, I watched this, and we have our priorities way misplaced when we're talking about boxing. Like, everybody's complaining about this Ali act and all. Like, how is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's
I don't know.
Completely unfair. It is completely just, it's, I can't say the words that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled, but this fight should not be happening, and the press conference was embarrassing. Gervonta Davis should not have a mic in front of him. It was absolutely embarrassing watching this thing.
D, why? Why, D?
Just the fact that, like, every time when Jake Paul would say something to Gervonta Davis, he didn't know how to answer it. He was comparing himself to, like, P. Diddy at moments, and I was like, oh my God, get a mic away from this guy. This fight shouldn't be happening. And then he didn't even know what weight they were fighting. He's like, I thought
That's
it was
bad,
190.
D.
No, it's 195.
That was the craziest thing. That was the thing that stood out to me the most. Was that when they go, the rehydration limit or something is 195. And he goes, wait, I thought it was 190. Dean.
Daniel Cormier expressed disbelief over how the fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis was ever approved. From his perspective, the entire setup seems flawed from the very start. He recalled the press conference where even Tank appeared unsure about the weight class for the bout, a detail Cormier views as a serious red flag. In a sport built on strict weight divisions designed to protect fighters and maintain fairness, such confusion signals a major issue in how the event has been organized. Cormier also emphasized the massive size difference between the two fighters, pointing out that Jake Paul is simply far too big compared to Tank, a disparity that can't be ignored. According to him, this matchup pushes the boundaries of what is normally acceptable in boxing. He questioned how a fight with such an obvious imbalance could receive official approval from the governing bodies. In Cormier's view, this isn't just a matter of fairness, it's a matter of safety. He believes the bout reflects poorly on boxing's current standards and exposes the dangers of prioritizing entertainment value over true competitive integrity.
And why he's fighting YouTube sensation turned professional boxer Jake Paul, who is 12 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 7 wins by way of knockout, opposed to fighting against the likes of his peers who are well accomplished and superstars in their own right for legacy fights like Shakur Stevenson, like Teofimo Lopez, like Devin Haney. Why he's not interested in those fights. And he gets real, right? He gets real, and only thing we could do is salute it, right? Because he's saying, I never told y'all I wanted to be a world champion. I never told y'all I wanted to be undisputed. I got into this for myself and my circumstances to escape from my circumstances. And that's real. We can't blame him for that. We hold him in high regard because the statements he's made and misled people when he said he got a hit list that he wants to check off before he retires, and that hit list includes Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Lomachenko, who turned down the fight because of a severe back injury. And then he told the world, he told Champside, it would be great for him to become undisputed. So I think that he had a change of heart at some point in time along the way.
Gervonta "Tank" Davis recently reflected on his journey in boxing, admitting that his original goal was never about becoming a world champion. Instead, his main focus was earning enough money to escape the hardships he grew up with and to create a better future for himself and his family. For Tank, boxing was a way out, a path to stability, not necessarily a pursuit of fame or titles. His true motivation has always been financial security rather than legacy or recognition, which helps explain the choices he's making at this stage of his career.
Is going to sing his praises like a hero. Though Jake Paul is definitely appreciated by the boxing world when it comes to what he is giving to the sport, especially women's boxing, okay? I mean, it goes without saying that Jake Paul, an MVP, has added to the sport of boxing. But Jake Paul, the fighter, people are over his shit. There's a huge amount of boxing pugilists in the boxing community who's over his shit. And if Gervonta Tank Davis stops that, if he is the one who stops this whole train, knocking out Jake Paul, he will become a boxing hero. People will then say, now get the hell out the sport. And I'm talking about from a fighter's perspective. That's what they're going to say. Now, it's not going to go on either one of their official records because it's an exhibition.
Showbiz The Adult gave Jake Paul credit for using his platform to draw greater attention to boxing and for creating a level of promotion that appeals to casual fans. He acknowledged that Jake's ability to attract massive audiences and generate conversation around the sport is undeniable. Many within the boxing community even recognize that Jake has opened new doors in marketing and global reach. However, Showbiz also addressed the criticism that follows Jake's career choices. He noted that while Jake has succeeded in promoting the sport, he continues to face backlash for the way he selects his opponents. According to many boxing fans, Jake often chooses fighters who are undersized past their prime, or not true threats at his competitive level, which raises questions about the authenticity of his rise in the sport.
Optically, visually, seeing that go viral, and I mean go viral, and Jake Paul will never hear the end of it.
We're gonna have to help you up. We're gonna help you up. We're gonna see about it. Help you up. We're gonna.
Because Gervonta Tank Davis is not only a real boxer, he's a real boy. He's 5'5". He's a lightweight. Skills pay the bills. Let him knock out Jake Paul, give him Bambi legs, or knock him down. Gervonta Tank Davis, that moment will go viral, and he will be a far bigger, well-known boxer than he is today, and he will also be a hero. And that's the Black Two Sugars. That you guys don't want to admit it. Don't bull jive. Think about it.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned, and I'll see you next time